What up, though, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Don't Be Pressed podcast. Devin was just taking a sip of her drink. It's all good.
Bruh,
Yo,
literally in the middle of my sip. It's fine. Welcome back.
Devin and Morgan, Chuckles and Slam on the ones and twos.
We're here on another Friday. We're happy to be here, owning all the stigmas of life.
Okay? If you're not owning your stigmas, that means you're soaking in them. So that's really good.
Before we dive into today's episode, I really want to start by letting you guys know that this episode, we are getting close to the end of our season, unfortunately. But in our last episode of the season, our What Are You Pressed About season, we really dedicate the topics to our listeners, people who view us on YouTube, who comment under our Instagram stuff, Twitter, all the podcast streaming platforms. Even if you want to email, we encourage people to send us what you guys are pressed about. It can be topics of like what to wear on a first date. It can be topics of like how are you starting a business, what car I should get. What else? There's a lot of things we talked about, but it's basically like focus on what you guys want us to talk about. So we're gonna be doing that in a couple weeks. So send us an email or anything. Comment under this video. Comment under this episode. Whatever you want. We can also keep you anonymous if you want to, too.
But if you can't send us an email because you don't know our email, because you're not subscribed to our email, please subscribe to don'tbepressed@gmail.com. We don't bombard you. We send you one email a week. The email either contains discount codes or information about how you can better yourself, or both. It never contains anything more than that.
Yeah.
So
innately be helping you.
Yeah, it's literally maybe only a paragraph of words.
Kill that fly. Let them know.
It's literally only a paragraph of words, that you're reading. So go ahead, use those links, use that material, the connected articles within that website information, email information, and
Please.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to our email list.
All season we've been talking about stigmas and different, as Morgan says, what do you say, like dark marks or imperfections?
Yes.
Right. That society has placed on us, and we got another one for you today, ladies and gents. When I say ladies, I mean everybody. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, like it's like I'm with my bros, and then, or you just like I'd be like, bro, Devin. My mom always like, why are you calling me bro? I'm not a bro. I'm like, yeah, we don't really do like gender specific group greetings.
Very universal for everybody.
Okay, it can be feminine or masculine.
Yeah. But yes, ladies, that being, did I miss anything? That's what our plan is, to really like take on all these stigmas that are placed on certain aspects of ourselves and what we do in everyday life, and then just kind of owning them and being like, this isn't true. This is what it is, and hopefully moving forward with a better understanding of life.
With the premise, right, that there's only one you. And so you trying to be like anybody else, trying to normalize yourself, trying to get rid of this dark mark or stigma is in fact taking away from who you are. It's about living once again in exactly where you are, like being in the moment that you are in. And so we talked about weight in one episode, right, this season, where it's like, well, we want to get away from the mentality of like trying to achieve a weight. Or if you're an athlete, like trying to achieve a height so that you'll be effective. Like, no, I'm going to learn how to be effective at this height. So then if I grow to be that height, or if I do lose that weight, then I'm also happy there. I mean, happiness doesn't mean that you're not challenging yourself.
Exactly. Happiness is not a thing that's projected into the future. Oh, when I'm happy, when I'm this, I'll be happy. When I'm this, I'll be happy. It's something that you're just like enjoying daily. And stigmas have a ability to kind of make us unhappy about certain aspects about ourselves, or make us feel like something's wrong with us when there's not.
So we did one on blackness. We did one on depression. We did one on like so many different things. So if you haven't listened to those, and you're just now listening to our anxiety episode, which is the topic that we're discussing today, go ahead and check those out and give us some feedback on those as well. Because if you find this one helpful, I promise you're going to find the other ones helpful.
Yeah. So before we slide into the topic of the episode, we're going to first slide on into this break. Don't touch that app. You know, we preach self-care and self-love constantly here at DBP. So how about we also practice self-care with a twist of lime? The Poor Life Decision podcast discusses one poor life decision, POUR life decision, a week and how to improve. This is a safe space turned podcast for Black women. In addition to hot topics and celebrating everything Black, co-hosts Doyen and Chris discuss topics ranging from mental wellness to overall life improvement. What a great way to kick back with your feet up and talk about what's on your mind. You can check out new episodes of the Poor Life Decision podcast every Thursday on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. You can also find them on Instagram at Poor Life Decision, POURLIFE Decision, and on Twitter at PLD Pod. For more info, head to their website, www.poorlifedecision.com. And if you'd like to sign up for an ad spot to feature your podcast or other small business during one of our shows, head to our website to sign up now. And we're back. Every time. I was trying to catch you off guard since you caught me off guard earlier, but it didn't work, so it's fine. We are back. And
I'm so smooth with my off guard mannerisms. I'll be hoping a motherfucker catch me off guard. All my pictures, I want them to be off guard.
We're talking about the stigma around.
She ignored me. I want everybody to know she ignored me. She's making me anxious right now, making my anxiety flare up.
Around anxiety. Woohoo! I fall right in this bucket. This is the bucket.
Wow, woohoo!
This is me.
Okay.
I'm in the bucket. So Morgan, let the people know, what are some stigmas? What do people try to say about people with anxiety or anxiety in general?
I feel like the stigma around people with anxiety, the biggest one is that they're like overly nervous, like for no reason whatsoever. And that is not true, because that's like saying, like for someone, I'm just going to talk about another mental illness. That's like saying someone with schizophrenia, like, there are no actual voices. Like, no, there are voices to them. Like, in so many of these areas of mental health that we've discussed, and anxiety is no different. However it is for that individual is how it is for them, right? So they're nervous and they're shaky and they're having panic attacks and they're sensitive, yeah, because there's something in their body, in their brain, that is making them extra sensitive to certain stimuli, like certain things that are going on in their life, or even just weather or confrontation. Like all of those different things can trigger like an anxiety attack, which is the culmination of several like a buildup of anxiety.
Exactly. And that reminded me of another stigma that a lot of people say about anxiety. It's like, oh, everyone has anxiety. Everyone can have anxiety, which, yes, is true. Everybody has like a worried, pressed, stressed situation where your body kind of like reacts to, where you get high, where you get nervous, blah, blah, blah. Yes. But when people have anxiety on a deeper level or a heavier level, I'll say, like generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, it's like a level of uncontrollable like anxiety and worry and fear. It's just like similar to how we were saying that like you can't stop a heart attack if you wanted to, just like control yourself, and stop a stroke. It's this hyperventilation. They can't stop and control their sweatiness, their heart palpitations. Sometimes they're like trembling and shaking. Their panic attacks, and like heavier anxiety, the worse it gets, it can literally transform into all these other things like panic disorder and extreme anxiety disorder and like phobia related disorders, where you're literally triggered into these states where you have no control over your body and how your body's reacting, and like this extreme impeding fear, or sometimes it's just completely uncontrollable and it just happens and you can't do anything about it. um it's definitely something that has like neuroendocrinology ties. Like it's not just something that happens because somebody is scared of like elevators, or somebody is like not comfortable in large crowds. Like, yes, you can have anxiety in those things, but there are some people who literally will faint or like like push themselves to the stress level of having a heart attack in those situations. So that's like the biggest stigma that I've seen.
Yeah, I think that for one, like yes, everybody's gonna have anxious moments, but anxious moments and anxiety like are not the same. Like anxiety is like like on a pretty consistent basis. Like you have anxious moments about things that other people would not ordinarily be. The baseline of people is not ordinarily anxious about, right? Or not this anxious about, to the point where you have like um changes in your physical appearance, right? Like you're starting to get stress bumps more often. You're starting to get migraines and headaches, and you never really have migraines and headaches. You're starting to fidget more than you usually do. Like that's definitely like a telltale sign of like people who have anxiety, is like
Mm-hmm.
like there's always like a moving body part. Like I know that for me, like that's one thing that I always know, and I never noticed that I'm fidgeting myself. It's always someone else like, you okay? You're you're moving a lot.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
huge. Yeah.
that's that's just, just more qualities of it. I will say transitioning into how you own it is by simply like doing what we've been talking about, like what I've been saying throughout is like, yeah, I have it. Yeah, it's there. But like, how am I going to stay within this moment? Because a lot of anxiety is like nervousness about the future, or anxiety about the past, right? For lack of a better word.
Being put into
Nerv-
like,
yeah, like just feelings of embarrassment about things that you did,
mm-hmm.
or being nervous about things that you're going to do. That's basically what it is. And so the more you can stay in the moment of where you are, or if you do reflect on the past, what I like to do is think about how everybody else was walking around in their underwear. I always think about me walking around, and I'm being facetious, right, with my comparison, but anxiety is you are consistently thinking about yourself in your underwear in front of other people.
And you're
It's in every situation imaginable. That's basically the best way to sum it up. And so I started to think about, hey, what if these people were in their underwear too? They were in their underwear. I remember that. And I don't judge them for the fact that they were in their underwear. And I hope that they don't judge me, and I live with the results. That's how I deal with my anxiety, personally. That's
yeah.
how I do it.
I've told this story, I think on the podcast a couple of times, but like my worst, like the job that I used to work a couple like years ago now. That's crazy. That's years ago now. But like caused me to have anxiety to the level where I wasn't sleeping. I was constantly thinking about work. I was fidgeting, shaking. I had an eye twitch for 3 months, broke out in hives. Hair was falling out. Like it was not a fun period of life. And one day it caused me to get on the wrong train to go to the complete opposite direction of home when I was coming back from New York. And that's when I like realized that I need to take better care of myself, or like I need to rid myself of something that's causing me this much stress on my body, because I was out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night for hours waiting for a train by myself with like three other people. The train thing, like you have to wait outside. It was like not the safest situation, which didn't help how anxious I already was. But it was like extremely like that. I don't like that situation definitely reminded me that I need to make some changes. and figure out like what's best for me, because I was on the verge. I don't even know. I don't know how much longer my body physically, mentally, spiritually could have taken the stress of that situation. And like that doesn't mean I'm a weak person. That doesn't mean that I can't handle it. I'm not smart enough for it. It just was not something I was willing to put myself through. Where like some people can be put in that situation and they feed off of that constant competitiveness, constant fast pace. Like I like that sometimes too, but also to an extent, and just like finding the balance in that. That was one way I like kind of owned that stigma. And then another thing is like on a more mild case, I would say, I definitely don't have, I don't think I have GAD or like anxiety disorder, but I know that it's more than just the average Joe person walking around. And so something that really helps me is just like when I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack, just like sitting and focusing on an object that's in the room or around me and talking myself through the details of the object. How big is it? How small? What do you do with that object? And just focusing on that, and then my body.
Getting the five senses. Like, what does
Yeah,
it smell like? What does it sound like?
exactly.
All
And that
those
really
things.
helps. Um, I do like deep breathing exercises. I play with my dogs or I go sit by them.
Yeah.
Like I literally
Um, meditation music, another big one.
meditation music. That's a big one.
Um, I think we have this thing on our Instagram where we do it. I don't want to say seldomly, but we try to do it about, I would say, 1 to 2 times a month, where we call them Mindful Mondays.
Hmm.
And those are videos of things that we are doing in order to get out of our own head, right? And so much of anxiety is like Devin said, like feeling reality, smelling reality, because anxiety takes you out of reality. And so that's why she said she takes an object and says, what does this object feel like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? All of these things, because then it connects you back to reality
Yeah.
in that moment. So knowing that, having the person who's in your life the most know that, I think is also very helpful, because for me, like when I can't center myself, someone else has to center me.
Yeah. Yeah. And making other people aware and yourself aware of like what's going on is also extremely helpful. Instead of being like, what's happening to me, what's happening to me, what's happening to me, like having like a sense of knowledge of things that trigger you and how they affect you, like you kind of take the power back. Like you take power over, like, okay, this is happening. My heart rate's getting faster. I'm starting to not be able to breathe. Okay, I'm starting to have a panic attack. I'm starting to hyperventilate. And then I'm like, look at this pair of scissors. The scissors are blue. Use them to cut things. Around Christmas time, I cut red. Like that's how like I have to literally talk myself through um, the brink of a panic attack if it gets to that point. So yeah, like I just want the main thing I want people to know is like reading upon it, learning about yourself and what triggers you is probably the best thing you can do to like I said, take power back for yourself. Because and then also talk to your doctor about it also if you feel it, or therapist or whoever you feel, because having somebody else know about this can also be extremely like relieving.
Which is definitely why I would advertise this even more so for the people who don't have anxiety, because there's more people who don't than people who do, but everybody knows someone who does. And you can, so much of mental illness is like a fear of the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as an ally in every situation that we've talked about, um, to all the stigmas, you need to be able to get get that person on the right track. Like be their good Samaritan, because maybe they don't know that they need one, or maybe they don't know how to get one. So be an ally. You can be an ally in mental health space as well.
Yeah. So before we let you go, follow us on all the things.
At Don't Be Pressed. follow us on all the things. We talk about these in some of our posts. We definitely talk about it on the podcast, as you can see. And we have boards on Pinterest of different things that you can do, right, to get out of your head and get out of that space. So follow us on all the things. And until next time,
Nevertheless,
deuces.
bye.